Welcome back to BST, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful night. By the time you guys will see this, it'll probably be the morning, just a few hours away from March Madness officially beginning, the round of 64. We just got done a few hours ago, I believe, with the final or the first four games. So, um, Alabama State won. Who else? North Carolina won, which is obviously going to cause some controversy. Um, then you had Xavier winning, and who the last one was? I can't remember who the last one is. Mount Saint something, Mount Saint Mary's Mountaineers or whatever they are. I don't even know who they are. But yeah, so we just got finished with those. I didn't want to make a bracket until I knew those because might change a few of my decisions here or there. But yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing on this on the night before March Madness. This is the official bracket prediction on my behalf. So let's just get right into this thing. I like to go region by region. I feel like that kind of helps me just look at the regions as a whole and see, like, I kind of like just seeing like who I think could represent the region instead of going like down the list for the round of 64 and then the round of 32, then the Sweet 16, Elite 8, so on. So let's just start in the South. And the first matchup, number 1 Auburn versus number 16 Alabama State. I don't really see a world where Alabama State wins this one. I think Auburn moves on. I think we've only seen. I'm not. I know we've seen. I've personally seen one 16-1 upset. So I'm not sure how many have happened in history, but they're very rare at the very least. So I do not see that one happening. Auburn moving on to the round of 32. Next up, number 8 Louisville and number 9 Creighton. I believe this is the first game, and it will tip it off tomorrow. So excited to. Actually, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch this one right away, but excited to see who wins this one. Obviously, on Louisville, it's being played in Lexington, so pretty much home court for them. But I know Creighton fans are pretty wild, so anything can go there. Um, I'm I think Louisville kind of got screwed with their seeding. They should be a higher seed, probably a 6 or so. So they got a tough draw if they do win to play Auburn. But you can't count out Creighton either. I know they've been in the tournament the past couple of years. They're pretty good. Personally, I usually use a rule with the 8 and 9s is pick the underdog. I know Louisville is favored, but I really feel like Louisville is not worth an 8 seed. I think they're better than an 8 seed. And I think they'll beat Creighton. They got home court, and they'll move on to face Auburn in the round of 32. Michigan, UC, San Diego is next, the 5 versus the 12. This is a popular upset spot for many brackets, basically from the beginning. This is kind of how people were picking upsets, was UC San Diego upsetting Michigan. I don't know if you guys remember last year, but it was a popular upset to pick McNeese over Gonzaga. I did, and Gonzaga just trounced them. I think I kind of see similarities in this matchup right here. I know people really like the fact that UC San Diego is very good at stealing the ball, and Michigan has like the worst turnover rate in the entire college basketball, or close to it, or maybe D1 it is. I'm not exactly sure, but I know they're bad and they turn over the ball a lot. So I think that's kind of the primary area why people are picking against Michigan. But Michigan's got 2 7-footers, and I think the tallest guy on UC San Diego is like 6'8" maybe. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I know he's pretty tiny, and I know Michigan's got 2 7-footers. So I feel like if Michigan plays those guys correctly, this is Michigan's game to lose. So I'm gonna pick Michigan to move on. Next up, the 4 versus the 13, Texas A&M and Yale. This one's a tough one for me because in brackets you want to pick your upsets here and there. You want to keep it balanced, but you don't want to just have a super chalk bracket. It's just not how it's gonna go. And you could just pick a super chalk bracket. You'll probably win your bracket challenge. But where's the fun in that? So picking your upsets and then getting them right, that exhilarating feeling is insane. So I'm really tempted to pick Yale here, but it's a tough one. I'm not exactly sure the strength of both these teams. I know Yale shoots the ball pretty well. Last year, I believe they beat Auburn in this exact same match. The 13 versus the 4, they beat Auburn. So I don't know. Can they do it 2 years in a row? I'm not exactly sold on it, but I'm going to pick it anyway. Spice things up a little bit. Yale will move on to the round of 32 to face number 5 Michigan. Moving on. Ole Miss, North Carolina. Obviously, North Carolina, ton of controversy. Nobody thinks they should have made it. And of course, they go out in the play-in game and they just destroy San Diego State. So now they face a number 6 Ole Miss team. I don't know a ton about Ole Miss. I haven't heard a ton of good things about Ole Miss in some of the research I've done. It really just feels like North Carolina's got a bunch of momentum here. So I'm going to pick North Carolina to piss everybody off and keep on moving on. They've been here plenty of times before. I think North Carolina might make a little bit of a run here. Moving on. Iowa State, Lipscomb, the 3 versus the 14. This one's a tough one as well. Iowa State is injured. Their best player is out. Lipscomb. I think Lipscomb shoots the ball pretty well. I know this is one of those other popular spots for an upset because Lipscomb, mostly because of Iowa State's injury concerns, and Lipscomb kind of has the makings of what an upset could be. And if I'm looking down the board, I want to at least pick 114. I don't think it comes here. I don't want to pick too much turmoil in this division here or this region here. I think I'm going to pick Iowa State to move on, even though they're injured. They've been one of the best teams all year, so they will move on to face North Carolina. Next up, Marquette, New Mexico, the 7 versus the 10. New Mexico, obviously, I know a little bit more about New Mexico, them being a Mountain West team. They were the top dog all year in the Mountain West. Them and Utah State really were pretty good. And they're here at 10. Mountain West teams. San Diego State had a run a couple years ago to the final. I think they might have gone to the championship, I think. But I know 10 seeds are not very successful in March. 7s win most of these games. I'm not totally sold on New Mexico. I've already picked a lot of upsets in this region. I think I'm just going to go Marquette here to move on to the round of 32. Last one in this region, Michigan State, Bryant. I've heard some rumblings that people think Bryant could upset here. I think Michigan State's going to win this one. I with these 1 and 2 matchups, I think the 1s and the 2s are pretty good this year. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on those. So now round of 32 in the South region, Auburn, Louisville. I kind of have a rule of thumb that you don't knock off a 1 until the Sweet 16, which I may break later. But I think Auburn's just been really good all year. I don't see Louisville beating them. Maybe they get hot and they can beat them, but against these 1 seeds, it's just gonna be tough to beat them this year. But I think there are teams who can do it, but I don't think Louisville is one of them. Moving on, Michigan, Yale, 5 versus the 13. I think this is where Yale's run ends. It's going to be hard for Yale to make a run here. I think it was kind of just a little bit of matchup base down here that I'm like, okay, it could happen. So I'll pick Michigan to go to the Sweet 16. You know what? I'm not feeling good about this Yale pick. I'm going Texas A&M, and I'm picking A&M to go meet Auburn. I really don't feel great about the Yale pick. When you feel that feeling in your stomach and you're just like, oh, I don't know about that. So I'm just going to change it now before it's too late. Yale is not going to beat Texas A&M, which now, of course, they will. So that's just how it goes. So I will have Texas A&M go play Auburn in the Sweet 16. They beat Michigan. I don't feel great about the Yale pick. Next, you got North Carolina, Iowa State. I told one of my buddies this. It feels like North Carolina's going to Sweet 16. So that's what I'm going to pick. I feel like they're going to get hot here. And they got all the hate on their side. And if you turn that around and push forward with it, that's pretty powerful stuff. So I think, and plus Iowa State's injured. I think it's a great matchup for North Carolina. I think North Carolina moves on to the Sweet 16. Finally, we got Marquette, Michigan State. I'm going Michigan State in this one. I don't think Marquette is anything special. I think Michigan State's pretty good. So now we're down to the Sweet 16 in the South region. Auburn, Texas A&M, the 1 versus the 4. I'm going Auburn to go to the Elite 8. I just think Auburn is the best team in this region. And I don't really see anywhere they could really get upset. So yeah. And then you got North Carolina, Michigan State. I think this is where North Carolina's run ends. Michigan State moves on to the Elite 8. North Carolina will have a little bit of run there, scare some people, but I don't see them moving past that. And I'm gonna have Auburn represent in the Final Four for the South region. I think Auburn's just really good. Again, like I said, I don't see very many teams in this region that can that will challenge Auburn for representing in the Final Four. Obviously, it's going to happen now. Auburn's not going to make it, but personally, I don't see it. This year, I really feel like it's going to be a year where we see a lot of chalk and very selective upsets. So that's what I'm going with this year. Not a ton of upsets, but Auburn in the Final Four. Moving on to the East region. Duke, Mount St. Mary's. Is that really what it is? I don't even know. The Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers. That's what I thought. I'm going Duke. Not much to be said here. Duke's a juggernaut. Moving on to the Mississippi State Baylor game. I'm going to use my rule here. I believe Mississippi State is favored. I'm going Baylor. I believe underdogs in the 8-9 matchups are like 57 and 33 or something like that in these games since a certain date. I'm not exactly sure. So, I like that. I like Baylor moving on. Those ones are tough because they're truly just like toss-ups. You don't really know what's going to happen. So I think Baylor will get the job done there. Oregon Liberty. I don't know a ton about Liberty or Oregon. I'm going Oregon here. I don't really see an upset there. Next up, the 4 versus 13, Arizona, Akron. I've heard Akron could have gotten an upset if they got anybody but Arizona. Like, it just doesn't seem. I think Arizona's got some big guys. Akron's pretty small, kind of similar to the UC San Diego Michigan matchup. I'm going Arizona. I don't think Akron's going to be able to keep up with those guys. If that is the case, I believe it is. I think I saw somebody talking about that. So I think Arizona will play Oregon in the round of 32. This game is going to be insane. BYU, VCU, the 6 versus the 11. BYU, high flying, 3 points, 3-point team, shoots a ton. And you have VCU, who is very defensive. They will defend the 3 extremely well. Ah, man, this is a game you just stare at for like 10 minutes straight, and you're like, oh man, who do I pick? And I truly believe whoever wins this game has potential to go to the Elite Eight or at the very least Sweet 16. So, man, this is tough. I don't know, man. Um, I told I asked one of my buddies. I said, he's a BYU fan, and he said BYU's gonna win, go to the Sweet 16. And, if BYU catches fire, yeah, they've at times this year they've looked very good. But they got owned by Houston twice, I believe, once or twice. VCU plays a similar game, not as good as Houston. Do I go against what his advice? Last year I picked BYU to go pretty far because he said they would. Oh man, two 11 seed upsets. That's kind of crazy. Screw it. I'm going VCU. I literally leading up to this, I said BYU, BYU, BYU. I'm going VCU this time. I just think BYU will be knocked out. I got that feeling again in my stomach. I'm not going against it. Sorry, man. If you're watching this, prove me wrong. I mean, of course. I mean, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna pick this. Oh, BYU's gonna win. Of course, this is what happens. Wisconsin, Montana. I think I saw this thing. Montana's like the luckiest team to make the tournament in a while or something like that. I'm going Wisconsin. Not much to be said here. Montana is not very good at basketball. St. Mary's, Vanderbilt. I know a lot of people are picking Vanderbilt. But I honestly I like St. Mary's here. They've made the tournament the past couple years. I don't know much about Vanderbilt. But I like I said, the tens don't do great in here. And looking at the tens, there's some other tens that I would like to pick. So I think I'm gonna go St. Mary's here to get the job done, and I'll pick Alabama. I'm not really sure who Robert Morris is. It's more of a name, not a college. So yep, Alabama moving on to the round of 32. Okay, Duke, Baylor, 1 versus the 9. Duke will win this game. Like I said, if you want to win your bracket, it's smart to at least pick the ones to go to the Sweet 16. Statistically, that's what is most likely. Okay, moving on. Oregon, Arizona. I like Arizona in this one. Arizona's been here before. They haven't won it, but they've been pretty solid for a couple years now. I believe this is Oregon. I don't know this. I haven't seen Oregon in the tournament in a while, so I like Arizona here to move on. Play Duke into the Sweet 16. VCU, Wisconsin. This is where we can get a little tricky here. VC, oh man, I think I got to go with my gut here, and it's VCU Sweet 16 run. I think they'll play Alabama. VCU, I think they could get hot here. I don't know if you've seen Ryan Hammers, check him out on all social medias. His trapezoid of excellence. Basically, it's just this area on this certain graph of pace and net rating that like most champions come out of, and VCU is very close to that. So I think VCU can make a run here because they play a very balanced game. They're very good at it. So I like that. In the Sweet 16, I'm gonna have Duke beating Arizona, 1 versus the 4. I just think Duke's a very good team, no doubt. Man, this is where it could get tricky here. because I believe in my past brackets I had BYU going and beating Alabama. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. Alabama plays a very, very fast game. VCU somewhat slow. This is March, baby. This is March. VCU to the the Elite Eight. VCU to the Elite Eight. But that is where their season ends because I think Duke will represent the East in the Final Four. Going to the West. Florida is going to win against Norfolk State. Florida has been the best team, probably the most complete team in college basketball this year. UConn, Oklahoma, 8 versus 9. I'm not going to bet against UConn. They got the championship pedigree, back-to-back champions, to move on and play Florida. Memphis, Colorado State. Colorado State is going to be this year's NC State. I don't know how far they're going to go because I think the ones and a lot of the higher seeds this year are better than last year. But Colorado, I think they're very similar. Besides the fact they don't got a dominant guy like Burns like NC State had last year, Colorado State, whatever, get hot in your conference tournament. Colorado State got hot, won the whole thing, and now they're here to play Memphis. I think they'll beat Memphis. And could Colorado State go on a run? Maybe. Moving on. Maryland, Grand Canyon. GCU could be an upset here. I don't personally think it's going to happen. I think Maryland will win. Last year I picked GCU to upset. It didn't happen. I'm going with Maryland this year. I'm not going to get snake bit again by GCU. Missouri, Drake. A lot of people picking Drake here. Drake plays the slowest game in the country. But I think the upsets are going to come when you don't expect them to. So I am going with Missouri to move on. Texas Tech, UNC Willingham. Texas Tech is going to win. I think Texas Tech could challenge Florida, St. John's for the West. Truly. I think Texas Tech is that good. Kansas, Arkansas, 7 versus the 10. Kansas been here before. I think Kansas will win. Like I said, the 10s don't fare well. And plus there might be a 10 over here that I want to pick. So I think I'm going to go all 7s, 110, to, just play the odds a little bit. So Kansas moving on to the round of 32 where they will meet St. John's. I don't see Omaha beating them. Omaha is not a very good basketball team. So that sets up the round of 32 in the West. Florida, UConn. Now, if UConn goes out there and destroys Oklahoma by 30, this game could get very interesting. Because I think it's kind of similar to the Chiefs in a way. Like the Chiefs 2 years ago when they beat the Niners in the Super Bowl, they came into the playoffs like kind of an underdog because they weren't as good as they had been in the past. But they still had that in them. They still had that championship pedigree. Like they get in, that's all that matters. Now they're here. They turn it on. Could that happen for UConn? Maybe. UConn hasn't been very good all year. I don't think they three-peat. I think Florida's too good of a team. Like I said, 1s to the Sweet 16. That's the way to go. So that's what I think will happen here. Okay. Colorado State, Maryland. This one's tough. But I think, like I said before, I think Colorado State's going to go on a little bit of a run here. So I'm going to pick Colorado State to the Sweet 16. I like them. I really do. I think they're hot right now. And I think they can go on a run here. Missouri, Texas Tech, the 6 versus the 3. I like Texas Tech. Like I said, Texas Tech is going to challenge Florida St. John's for this region. I like Texas Tech to move on, and I like St. John's, setting up a great matchup in the Sweet 16 between Texas Tech and St. John's. Kansas, they've had some disappointing ups or losses in the past few years, so I think Texas Tech will win, or St. John's will win there. But let's start off with this matchup. I think Texas Tech will go to the Elite Eight. Texas Tech is that good. I really do believe that they are that good, and I don't think Colorado State can beat Florida. So I'm gonna pick Florida to move on. Florida's just a juggernaut. But oh man, I don't know. No, I can't. I think this is where Florida gets a W, moves on to the Final Four. We got 3 1 seeds, which may not be super popular, but like I was telling one of my buddies this, like it just feels like it doesn't just feel bad when you pick like a couple 1 seeds. You're like, what is happening right now? Like this is weird. Like why am I picking all these guys? So that's kind of how I feel right now. It's like, oh man, that does not feel good. Like that feels weird. But yeah, should be an interesting one. I think there's a high possibility there's a lot of ones this year in the Final Four. And finally, we got the Midwest region. Houston, SIUE. Houston's going to win this one. No doubt in my mind. Gonzaga, Georgia. Man, this is another one. The Zags are pretty good this year. Kind of underrated. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win and move on to play Houston. Georgia, I don't know much about them, but Gonzaga, like I said, been here before, and that they have a pretty decent team this year, so I think they'll move on. Okay, Clemson, McNeese. I'm not falling for the McNeese curse this year. It is truly a curse. I'm not falling for it. Happened last year. It's going to happen this year. I don't think McNeese will be able to knock them off. I like Clemson. Clemson made an Elite Eight run last year. They returned most of their starters. I think that's very valuable in March when you got that experience. So I like Clemson to move on here. Purdue, High Point. I'm picking High Point just because of this simple fact. Let me see this. High Point Panthers roster. Let me show you guys this. Where is he? Trey Benham. This man is about to light them up. You understand me? This white guy is going to be the one that hits like 15 threes and wins the game. Mark my words. It's happening, okay? High Point moving on to face Clemson. Purdue gets upset again after making a championship run last year. Illinois, Xavier. I think Xavier wins this. I'm not super thrilled on Illinois. But yeah, I think Xavier can get this one done. Then you got Kentucky, Troy. I know a lot of people picking Troy. I think Kentucky battles their demons this year and gets through them. I know in the past it's not been the case. But I think Kentucky will beat Troy. They got upset by Jack Golke in Oakland last year. But I think they can get the job done this year. UCLA, Utah State. This is gonna be the 110 that I pick. And to be Utah State. Utah State has been good in the Mountain West this year. Don't know a ton about UCLA, but I think I want to pick 110, and I think I like Utah State over the rest of them. Especially in their matchups. So that's what I'm going to pick there. Then I got Tennessee picking over Wofford. I don't see Wofford winning that game. Back to the top in the Sweet 16. Houston, Gonzaga. This is, man, I don't even know. Gonzaga hasn't missed a Sweet 16 in 7 consecutive years. I think Gonzaga's going to beat Houston. I think this is where the bracket gets shaken up a little bit. I think Gonzaga beats Houston and will meet Clemson in the Sweet 16. Xavier, Kentucky. I think this conference getting hectic quickly, but I think Kentucky will win that one. Utah State, Tennessee. I think Tennessee will win that one. Then you got in the Sweet 16, Gonzaga, Clemson, Kentucky, Tennessee. I think this is where Gonzaga's run ends. Clemson, I think Clemson's pretty underrated. I think Clemson's a really good team. And then you got Kentucky, Tennessee. I like Tennessee in this one. Then you got Clemson, Tennessee in the Elite Eight to finalize the Final Four. I'm going Tennessee. So, in the Final Four, you got Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Tennessee. This should get very interesting. Let's start on this side. Auburn and Florida. I think Florida takes care of business. Makes it to the championship game. Then Duke, Tennessee. It's really going to depend. This whole thing is going to depend on if Cooper Flagg is healthy. I think Duke can make it here, even if he's a little bit injured. But can they beat Tennessee? I think so. I think it'll be Duke, Florida in the final. And my 2025 March Madness champion is the Florida Gators. I believe the Florida Gators will win it. How many points total in the championship game? I think it'd be like a 62 to 60 matchup, so we'll say 122 points total. I like this right here. Florida, they're stacked. They've been one of the best teams all year. Duke, stacked. If Flagg is healthy, those are the two best teams in the country. I think this year we're going to see a lot of chalk. I truly cannot see too many teams that can make a huge run. I feel like if you looked at my Elite Eight, there's a lot of fun seeds here, but I just don't think they'll make that extra step to make it to the Final Four. It could happen, of course. It probably will. I don't see it happening. So this is where my bracket's at. I like it. I think Florida will win this thing. They're just too good. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments who you guys think will win March Madness, what you think of my bracket, what you think I should have picked, what I shouldn't have, things like that. It's much appreciated, all you guys' support. And let's just have some fun this weekend and next weekend and the weekend after that. It should be great. It should be absolutely wonderful. March Madness is a great time of the year, and I cannot wait for tomorrow to watch some games, see some upsets, stuff like that, some buzzer beaters, all the stuff that comes with March. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this bracket prediction, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.